Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I'm back. As my man Jeffrey Sills says, the player prop god is back. Talking some prize picks on today's Taco Tuesday NBA slate. We've got seven NBA games to discuss. That's 14 teams. That's a lot of players. That's a lot of props. We're going to get down to business right here, right now. Talking points, assists, rebounds, PRA, fantasy score, 3-point makes over on PrizePicks. If you do not play on PrizePicks yet, now's a great time to get signed up. Why is that? Because they're doing a 100% instant deposit match. Yes, it's still happening. Yes, you can still take advantage. Use promo code Curry to get started today. They're doing a dollar for dollar, all the way up to $100 price match for you. Link down in the description below. What's up, gang? What's going on? It's good to see everybody up in the live chat. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. No Pullin. I did not forget how to pronounce your name. Shout out to Pullin. I remembered. The X is just for show. It's really a U. How could I forget after yesterday? You set me straight. Shout out to Pullin. Happy morning to you. Mark H is in the building. Shout out to Mark H, who was my designated note taker yesterday. We did a Discord stages live stream just for patrons. Usually, or in the past, I've done live Discord stages and events for everybody to participate in. Yesterday, it was just a Patreon only type of thing. And listen, our picks ended up going 11 for 15, really high hit rate. Seemed like a lot of people really enjoyed that Patreon exclusive live event, where I had different people on. We were discussing their picks. And man, it went really well. We had good results, 11 for 15. Not too shabby at all. Desmond was one of our participants. Desmond liked some DeMar DeRozan over 7 free throws, and he ended up coming through clutch in a number of different props. But Desmond especially was liking the free throws for DeMar DeRozan and ended up working out. Emmanuel says, hello, good morning, good slate today. CSGO did me good today. Well, it's always nice to start your day off with a little CSGO. Get off to a winning start on your day. Mac B's in the building. Taco Tuesday. Shout out to Curry and the Patreon gang. Let's get this bread. Listen, Mac B, it is Taco Tuesday. You ain't never lied in your life. Taco Tuesday is going down today. We're going to keep an eye out on the PrizePicks board throughout the day, trying to identify those tacos. They like to slide them in there on us. The first one was a CSGO taco. To be honest with you, I didn't play that one because the guy's name was Taco, and I didn't know anything about Taco. I didn't know if he was a good play or not, so I just kind of faded it. But not sure if Taco ended up being a tasty taco or a bad taco. King Chris says, Taco Tuesday to save the week. To save the week? We're only on Tuesday, my brother. Off to a bad start this week. Looking to turn it around today. Well, listen, we ain't got to save the week just yet. We're just on Tuesday. Hopefully your week isn't that bad after one night, being Monday. But anyway, we'll get you set up right, Chris. Don't you worry about that. Divine Truth Allah says, peace. New day, new money, and it's Taco Tuesday. Peace to you as well, my brother. Are we betting on the taco today? Maybe. Accolade Rhyme says first, but really he's like not first. He's like 10th or something. But shout out to you, Accolade Rhymes. Ronald's Green, what's up? Smitty came up on the live Discord stage and dropped off a couple of nice picks. So shout out to you, Smitty. He says, what's up? Let's get it today. Time Lord, aka Robert Williams, looks good, but will Embiid shut him down? I think he meant to say shut him down. We'll have to see about that one. Tony Ruiz says, good morning, CJ. Good picks overall last night. I faded the early taco. Not yet cooked. I hear you. Jeff says, what's up, family? It's your number one Heat fan here to rep the number one team in the East and number one in your hearts. Not my heart. I'm an Orlando Magic diehard. You already know. I don't care how bad we suck. We got some pieces that look promising. My guy Franz Wagner. My guy Wendell Carter Jr. Both guys had pretty big games last night. Big Wendell Carter Jr. fan right here, a.k.a. Wendy. My dude, Wendy. G-Lo got bars, says CJ. What up? Where you been, dude? You been out there battling again? Battle rapping? G-Lo got bars really has bars, y'all, in case you didn't know. Nick Guthrie, good morning, y'all. Let's make some money today. Smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't. Yes, that's a good word of wisdom for my man, Nick. He says, if you're not subscribed, make sure that you are now. We just passed 4,800 subscribers. We are on the way to 5K. We are on the way to 5K. So if this is your first time checking me out, hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications. I'm here to help you through all your player prop research every single morning, 11 a.m. Eastern time, Monday through Friday. Drew Breeze, good morning. Patreon gang in the building. Shout out to the Patreon gang. Great night. Ready for some Taco Tuesday. Yeah, we're going to eat tonight. We having tacos. They're on the menu. I like mine crunchy. Are you about the soft tacos or are you about the crunchy tacos? I'm about the crunchy tacos, in case you were wondering. Crunchy tacos forever. David Winker says, good morning, CJ. I will drop a like, but none of that taco talk for me after the CSGO dud. Well, hopefully we get to go in there and build our own tacos in the PrizePicks Discord. We could go in there and vote on our favorite players, our favorite props at the taco bar. If you guys aren't familiar, you got to get in the PrizePicks Discord. You got to get in there on Taco Tuesday. You got to cast your vote. You get to pick the player, you get to pick the prop, and then you got yourself a taco. All right, that's how it works. Nick Bean says, back at it, CJ, let's get this paper. Nurkic first half fantasy points. Shh. If you know, you know, though. If you know, you know. Everyday Fantasy says, loved all the extras yesterday. CJ, thanks, man. Patreon gang, y'all the best in this game. Much love, much love. Yeah, we saw a lot of people winning yesterday. A lot of people winning yesterday in the Patreon and Discord community. Shout out to Rising Sun. My dude hit for $5,000. He turned his $500 free 5-pick entry into $5,000. It's the first one that I've seen. There's probably others out there, but it's the first person I've seen who's actually turned that $500 free entry into 5K. Huge win. Shout out to Rising Sun, man. He's going to be free rolling on PrizePicks dime for quite some time. So monster win. Leroy says, let's go. Zach Gill, what's up to you? It's money time. JC, let's go. Cry Over Kicks says, let's go make the donuts today. Love that. Magic says, good morning, Brody. Good morning to you as well. Going through the rest of your comments here, and then we'll get down to business. Nick Sarau, good morning to you. Michael Palma says, good morning. Let's bust the PrizePicks bank wide open. Let's go in there and just do a smash and run. Is that what you're saying? You want to smash the PrizePicks bank, grab the cash and run? I'm with it. I can get down with that. Help Me Josh says, let's get this money. Absolutely. Travis A, what up to you? B-Dog Hardy says, what's up, dog? Listen, Klay Thompson let us down. Klay Thompson let us down, B-Dog. We got to get that money back from Klay Thompson. He sold hard. Would have hit a 4-pick power on my $25 risk-free. It was all down to Klay Thompson over 30 fantasy points, and Klay Thompson absolutely crapped. He crapped the bed. FN Props Guy says, let's get it, folks. CJ, thanks for the talk yesterday. Appreciate the extra content. You are welcome, my friend. Trill Fate says he's hangry. That means hungry and angry. Hungry and angry. You guys are ready to get back. Mike from the Forest, let's go. Hey, appreciate you jumping on the Discord stage yesterday and talking some props with me. He was on Raul Neto under first half points, and it ended up hitting. I personally said, Mike, I'm going to fade that one. My friend. I just don't feel good about it. But listen, Mike, you were on it. You called it, brother. Joe Harrington, hey, yo. Giddy and Randall, first half fantasy points was the yesterday. Absolutely. Isaac says it's Taco Tuesday. Good morning, CJ. Hope you enjoyed that edible arrangement. Listen, I had some chocolate covered strawberries from my local Publix here, but it was not an edible arrangement. Still, the chocolate covered strawberries were absolutely fire. Absolutely fire. Jeremy said he killed it yesterday with DeRozan and Julius Randle. Hoof 15, good morning to you. The Mr. Douglas, my 5K entry was the worst one I've had in weeks. Oh, that's a bad time to have the worst 5-pick you've had in weeks. When you got 5,000 on the line, I'm sorry to hear that, my friend. Let's try to get you right, though. Jeremy, hello to you. Aaron Rodgers says, Big Money Monday. Let's go. It's Tuesday, though. Oh, you mean like yesterday was Big Money Monday for you? I got you. I'm sorry. I got you. Took me a second there, all right? Kyle says, good morning, CJ. Let's feast today. Jai says, DeMar didn't let me down. Unfortunately, everyone else did. Great Patreon stage yesterday. Looking forward to more. Yeah. I probably just killed your name again. I think you told me this. It's Jade, isn't it? Is it Jade? I called you Jide. Ooh, my bad. My bad. Fernando, Terry Rozier's the play today, over 4.5 rebounds. We'll take a look at that one. We'll definitely take a look at that one. Umlax45, how we got all these people in here but only 35 likes. Come on, people. Show some love. Show some love. PT says, let's go Magic. Absolutely. We got a good little fun team, man. Forget all the haters. Franz Wagner ended up going over 2.5 assists. Ended up with 4 assists. That's right, Aaron Rodgers. You said fade the Magic. Have a little faith in my boys. Wendell Carter Jr., Franz Wagner had big games last night. Deshaun Walker, sad Laker fan. Hey, listen, you could always be a sad Magic fan. Things could always be worse. Global Curly, yo. Tommy, what's up, CJ? Let's win some money today. We're definitely going to do it. We're going to get on it, man. We're going to get on it. CJ 5K, that's right. That's what I'm going for, gang. So we got to hit the sub button. We got to share it with everybody we can. Wes is in the building, longtime supporter of the community. Shout out to you, Wes, aka Dub, in Discord. Yo, 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 boss man. Yo, 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 back at you. Anthony Taylor, also longtime supporter. He's ready for some tacos. Love it, man. Love it. All right. Shout out to everybody that I missed. Love all you guys for being here. Love all of you for showing the support, showing the love. Hopefully you felt a lot of love yesterday on Valentine's Day. Let's get down to business. We've got 7 NBA games. Slap the like button if you're ready to get started. I'm ready to get started. Swig of water for me, and then we'll break this thing down for you. All right. First game, 7:30 p.m. Dallas Mavericks at the Miami Heat. Just 209 points between these two teams. Not a super sky high total. 3.5 point spread in favor of Miami. So Miami expected to win this game. Game time decision for Trey Burke. Out is Tim Hardaway Jr. That's probably the 2 biggest pieces of injury news to keep your eye out on. Over on the Miami Heat side, we've got Jimmy Butler. Game time decision. Not sure if Jimmy Buckets is going to go or not, but we got Tyler Herro already ruled out. So not really excited about that one with just 209 points, but the fact that it's going to stay close and competitive, listen, full game props are definitely in play for this one. Moving it on down, 7:30 p.m. Cleveland Cavaliers at the Atlanta Hawks, 220 points on this one. So a nice juicy total there with a spread of just 1 point, meaning this game should be high scoring, stay close and competitive. Could be a good one to take some full game overs if you find some spots that you really like. Nothing real impactful on the Cleveland side in terms of injury news. It's the same old. Colin Sexton, Lauri Markkanen out. Over on the Atlanta side, keep an eye out on Wright and Bogdanovich. Both of them are game time decisions. John Collins already ruled out for Atlanta, so it'll be Danilo Gallinari, DeAndre Hunter starting at the forward spots for the ATL. All right. 7:30 p.m. the Boston Celtics at the Philadelphia 76ers. This game should be fun. We've got 210 points between these two teams. Kind of a low-scoring game, low total. 2-point spread here. James Harden already ruled out for Philadelphia. Nobody missing for Boston. They're going to have their full complement of players, their typical starting lineup. So no surprises there. Anyway, going to be interesting to see if Joel Embiid can bounce back. I think he had kind of a down game last time he faced Boston. Ended up going under his points prop, but we'll have to wait and see what the big man's got in store tonight. But that should be a fun game. 8 p.m. Charlotte Hornets at the Minnesota Timberwolves. Guys, we got to take a minute. Because I looked at this total earlier today and I was like, dang. 245 implied point total here between these two teams. Charlotte, Minnesota, 245. Huge total. This will be a fun one to take some overs on. 6-point spread favoring the home team, the Minnesota Timberwolves. Looking at both sides here, the biggest injury news is probably going to be Gordon Hayward, who's out for Charlotte. He's missed the last couple of games, though, so nothing real crazy going on. Otherwise, both of these teams pretty much running at 100%, but 245 points. Ugh, love it. 8 p.m. Memphis Grizzlies at the New Orleans Pelicans, 228.5 points. Also a really super strong total. 4.5 point spread in favor of the road team here, the Memphis Grizzlies. We have to keep our eyes out for Ja Morant. Not sure if he's going to play or not. Currently a game time decision. Otherwise, Dylan Brooks continues to sit. The rest of these guys don't really matter a whole lot. Looking at the New Orleans side of things, Larry Nance Jr. is out. Of course, Zion Williamson continues to sit out. Don't think we'll see him at all this season. But yeah, Ja Morant, keep an eye out on his status. If he misses this game, you better be ready to lock in some guys like Desmond Bane or somebody like that. All right, I'm just saying, got to be prepared if Ja Morant is truly going to sit tonight. But I hope he doesn't. I hope he gets in there and plays, because I'm liking the total, liking the spread from this one. 8 p.m. Indiana Pacers at the Milwaukee Bucks. Another game with a very high total, 234 points. But I caution you. I caution you on this game because there's a 13-point spread. It's in favor of the Milwaukee Bucks. So this game has major blowout implications here. It's a very strong likelihood that this game ends up turning into a runaway. For the Indiana Pacers, though, Malcolm Brogdon, game time decision. So we're probably looking at the backcourt of Tyrese Halliburton and Buddy Hield. Lance Stevenson, O'Shea Brissett, and Goga Bitadze. What an ugly little lineup. Definitely looks a lot different than when Brogdon and LeVert and Sabonis and Turner were all in the starting lineup. A much different starting lineup here for Indiana. On the flip side, keep an eye on Giannis Antetokounmpo. He was ruled out for yesterday's game. Not sure if he plays tonight. I kind of don't think they need him to play, quite honestly. They could probably rest him again here and still whoop Indiana pretty easily. So keep an eye out on Giannis and his status. But for me, first half only, more than likely. Or if I'm going to take anybody in a full game format, I want to make sure that it's a high usage player. Somebody like Drew Holiday, somebody like Chris Middleton, somebody like Tyrese Halliburton on the other side. So definitely don't want to get caught with my pants down in a potential blowout situation. All right. Finally, the last game of the night, 10 p.m., the late night hammer, the Los Angeles Clippers at the Phoenix Suns. Another game with a nice total, 223.5, but the spread, 13 points in favor of the Phoenix Suns. So another one of those games that looks like it's going to be a runaway, that looks like it's going to be a blowout at some point. Norman Powell is out. Apparently, he broke a bone in his foot. That didn't take long. He's only been a member of the Clippers for like a couple of weeks, if that. Already on the sideline with a broken foot. So he joins the likes of Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. He will be out for the Clippers. Luke Kennard, game time decision. Keep an eye out on him. We saw the Clippers last night kind of stun the Golden State Warriors. Stunned them a little bit. Golden State did not look good, especially you, Klay Thompson. Did not look good last night. Anyway, on the Phoenix side, Sarge, Kaminsky, Payne, and Shamet already ruled out, but they're going to have their full complement, their full starting five. Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Mikal Bridges, Jay Crowder, and the big man in the middle, DeAndre Ayton. So you could play this as a first half only, or if you're going to take a full game format, make sure that you're, again, taking high usage players that will be heavily involved in aiding in a Phoenix Suns blowout. A guy like Devin Booker comes to mind, for example, or a DeAndre Ayton who should be in a really good spot against Ivica Zubac. Somebody like that, all right? That's who you'd want to take in a full game format. So what do you think of the slate tonight, gang? You looking forward to any of these games? Which games stand out to you? Let me know in the chat what you're liking and what you're not. Let's go ahead and refresh the tools here. Make sure we've got all the latest projections pulled in from the Fantasy Labs and Action Projection tool. And we'll get started here looking at some points props. The first guy we're going to talk about is this dude, Jarrett Allen, because Jarrett Allen at 13.5 points has covered this prop in 70% of his games. That's 7 out of 10. And tonight he gets to go up against Atlanta. Not a very strong team in terms of defense. They're 22nd ranked in points allowed. So Jarrett Allen over the last 5 games has covered this 13.5 point prop in 4 out of 5, so an 80% hit rate. So his hit rates are actually higher in the last 5 than they are in the last 10. He did fall a little bit short against Joel Embiid and the Philadelphia 76ers. I don't know if you guys saw that clip. Jarrett Allen got baptized by Joel Embiid. Huge monster dunk by Embiid, posterized my man Jared Allen, unfortunately. So maybe he looks to get some retribution against the Atlanta Hawks tonight. So let's look at the center position. We're looking at the last 7 games. This is just a real simple DVP, defense versus position chart, provided by Fantasy Pros, completely free. Just go out to Google, type in Fantasy Pros, FanDuel, NBA, defense versus position, and it should be one of the first links that comes up. Anyway, looking at the points category here, let's see how many points per game the Atlanta Hawks have given up to opposing centers over the last 7 games. We don't have to go down super far. They're giving up about 23 to 24 points per game. You can see kind of where that ranks them, right in the middle of the pack, toward the top. And the closer toward the top, the easier the matchup. So looking like a pretty friendly matchup here for Jared Allen, who needs just 14 points. The Hawks giving up about 10 more than that at 23.6. So let's go pull a projection for you. Again, we're using the action projection tools provided by Fantasy Labs. It's not free, but there are some free sites that offer free player prop projections. You could use those sites to cross-reference against what I'm showing you here in today's video. So they got Jared Allen at 15.7 projected points. That's 2.2 points higher than his prop line of 13.5. I will also mention that he is a betting favorite on 3 out of 4 sites at 13.5 points. But there's at least one site that believes 14.5 is the proper line here for Jared Allen's points. So we are getting a little bit of value here versus BetMGM in this case. So they think 14 to 15 points is probably the range for Allen tonight. We're getting him at 13.5 on PrizePicks. So a little bit of value here. But yes, the betting public gobbling up the overs on Jared Allen at 13.5 points. And I can't blame them. Pretty good matchup. Has a high hit rate in the last 10 and an even higher hit rate in his last 5. Moving it along here, let's look at his teammate. I'm talking about you, Mr. Darius Garland. 20.5 points. He's covered in 70% of his last 10 games. So that's 7 out of 10. Now we're looking at 19.5 here on PrizePicks. So props.cash. By the way, if you're not using props.cash, link down in the description below. Get started on props.cash. It really changes the way you do your player prop research. But Darius Garland at 19.5 on PrizePicks, 20.5 according to props.cash. So we're seeing a little bit of value here. Last 3 games for Garland, 24, 27, and 27. So it seems like he's starting to get back on track here. Looking very good in his last 3. Going up against Atlanta tonight, a team that not very scary when it comes to defensive matchups. So let's go see how many points per game that the Hawks are giving up to opposing point guards in the last 7. They're giving up right around 24 points per game. So they give up about 23 to 24 to both the center position and the point guard position. So I think Garland and Jared Allen are both in pretty good spots in this game. So looking like a pretty good matchup here for Darius Garland. Let's go pull up a projection for Garland. Got him going for about 20.6 points. And as I mentioned before, 19.5 on PrizePicks. He is at 20.5 across the industry today. Even as high as 21.5. Guys, you better go jump on Darius Garland if you're liking him. I'm just saying the value at 19.5. We're seeing him at 20.5 and 21.5 on at least 2 other sites. So if you like Darius Garland at 19.5, you're getting a 1 to 2 point discount. I will caution you and say this. Some of these books at 20.5 points, we're seeing the public take the under at 20.5. But that's at 20.5. He's at 19.5 on PrizePicks. So you are getting a little bit of a value play. The projections do like Darius Garland to go over. And like I said, the matchup looks like a pretty easy one for him against Atlanta. Tobias Harris is another guy that maybe we put on the radar. 17.5 points over the last 10 games for him. 60% hit rate. You know, we're starting to get into some of these players who are down in the 60% hit rate category. I'll talk about one, Tobias Harris, going up against Boston at 17.5 points over the last 10 games, 6 out of 10. You see what he's doing in his last 5 games, 2 out of 5. So it's kind of been up and down here for Tobias Harris. He's got back-to-back games where he has went under 17.5. Do we think maybe he bounces back and gets right in this spot against the Boston Celtics tonight? We'll have to take a look and see how the matchup's looking for Toby. So we'll go to the power forward position. We're looking at the points column. Go down, find the Boston Celtics. They're giving up the third fewest points per game over the last 7 games to the power forward position. So the matchup not looking great for Tobias Harris. Boston giving up exactly 17.5 points, which is what Tobias Harris's player prop line is today. Let's get you a projection on Tobias Harris here. I do have him projected for 19.7 points. 19.7 versus the 17.5. He's about 2.2 points higher. Now, across the industry here at 17.5 points, we're seeing the public bet the over. They're taking the over. Not super strong odds, but minus 115, minus 112, even minus 120 on some sites. They are leaning toward the over is the betting public. Let's take this one a step further. We go Tobias Harris points versus Celtics logs. And he's faced Boston, let's see, 1, 2, 3 times this year. Had 8, 25, and 17. So he's only went over in 1 game, which was back on December 20th. So, yeah, it's been a bit of a rough go for Tobias Harris, but you can look at it a little bit further. As a member of the Philadelphia 76ers, you can look at all his game logs if you want. Pull it up on StatMuse. StatMuse completely free. That's what site I'm using to pull this up. But, yeah, it's been kind of up or down. It's not like he owns Boston by any means. So, not sure that I really love the Tobias Harris points prop all that much. Anyway, that's enough about points. We've talked about a couple of heavy hitters here. Jared Allen, Darius Garland being the ones that are standing out for me, both going up against Atlanta, both with 70% hit rates. Garland, as we talked about, 1 to 2 points of value versus where he's at on other sports books. But yeah, I mean, that's about it. I mean, the rest of these guys are at like 60%. So Marcus Smart, 60% hit rate. D'Angelo Russell, 60%. Ant Edwards, 60%. Joel Embiid, 60%. LaMelo Ball, also, you guessed it, 60%. So let's go ahead and talk about some rebounds, and then we'll get over to the assists, the PRA, the fantasy scores, 3-point makes, and then if you have questions, I'll be happy to take those. So looking at rebounds, guys who've been covering their rebound prop at a high hit rate over the last 10 games. Starting it off here with Mason Plumlee, not seeing him up on the board right now. Of course, Montrezl Harrell is now in town in Charlotte, so I don't know how that will impact Mason Plumlee, but I will tell you this, if we do get Mason Plumlee up at 8.5 rebounds, he looks like a solid option as he has covered 8.5 rebounds in 8 out of 10 games. Another guy who's been getting the job done, Al Horford, in a little bit of a revenge game against the Philadelphia 76ers. In case you forgot, Al Horford, once a member of the Philadelphia 76ers, he's at 5.5 boards. We're talking about him because he's the only other guy on today's slate that I can see right now who is at an 80% hit rate in the last 10 games. So 8 out of 10 games, he has gone for 6 or more rebounds. So really nice hit rate. We look at the last 5 here, 5 games, 4 out of 5, he has covered 5.5 boards. In fact, he's averaging 8.6 rebounds per game in the last 5 games. So the average is nearly 3 rebounds higher than where he is at on PrizePicks today at 5.5. So let's go take a look at Big Al, Mr. Horford here. Of course, you got Robert Williams manning the middle, playing the center position. So Al Horford's going to be your power forward. Philadelphia giving up 10.9 rebounds, which is the 4th most rebounds per game over the last 7 games to the power forward position. So I would say that Al Horford is in a pretty plus matchup here in terms of rebounds against the Philadelphia 76ers at the power forward spot. So they're giving up nearly 11 boards. He needs just 6 in this particular matchup. So let's head over here to the prop projections provided by Fantasy Labs and Action Labs. We'll type in Al Horford's name. Yeah, I've got him projected for 8 boards. 8 rebounds. His line is 5.5. Pretty big edge. 2.5 rebound difference. And at 5.5 boards, the betting public is smashing the over on Al Horford. Minus 145, minus 150, and minus 135 on 3 different respected sports books. Now, we can take this one a step further if we want. We can go Al Horford rebounds versus Sixers logs. And we can take a look at how he is done as a member of the Boston Celtics versus the Philadelphia 76ers. So we'll look at this year's 2 previous games. So on December 1st, 2021, last year, this season, played 31 minutes, ended up with 8 rebounds. Now, on January 14th, 2022, my man only played 17 minutes. Pulled in 2 boards. I don't know what happened there. I don't know if he got in foul trouble. I don't know if the game was a blowout. Not quite sure what the circumstances were, why he only played 17 minutes, but just 2 rebounds in that particular game. So I'm going to have to kind of toss that one out. But if we look at some of the other previous games that he's had, 8 boards, 6, 8, 9. So, I mean, he's done a pretty good job for the most part. Last 5 games, he's covered in 4 out of 5. But like I said, that last game, January 14th, not quite sure what happened there. Let's click into the game and see what the box score says. So it was 111 to 99. 111 to 99 was the total. Maybe it ended up being a blowout and he ended up, I don't know, sitting. Not quite sure what the situation was. But yeah, 17 minutes played, had 5 points, 2 boards, 2 assists. So kind of weird. Kind of a weird game there for Al Horford. I expect him to have more minutes than 17. I think that's a fair expectation. Just to pull that up, though. Yeah, I got him projected for 29 minutes. 29 projected minutes. So if he plays 29, 30 minutes tonight, then I think we're fine with Al Horford over 5.5 boards, given the matchup and everything. All right. So let's go ahead and move on from him. 80% hit rate, like I said, in the last 10 games. 80% in the last 5 games as well. We're going to go back to Darius Garland at 3.5 rebounds because in the last 10 games for Garland, 3.5 boards, he's covered in 7 out of 10. 70% hit rate for Darius Garland. You can see, kind of like his points, the last 3 games have been very good for Garland. Not only has he covered his points prop in 3 straight, but he's also covered his rebound prop in 3 straight games. So maybe we consider him a PRA option versus the Atlanta Hawks today. He's pulled in 4, 5, and 4 rebounds respectively. Now he gets a matchup against the Atlanta Hawks. So let's go to the point guard position. We'll head over to the rebound column. The Atlanta Hawks giving up 7.3 rebounds per game to opposing point guards, which is actually the 6th most. The 6th most rebounds allowed in the last 7 games by the Atlanta Hawks at 7.3. So to call this a plus matchup would be a little bit of an understatement. This is a really juicy matchup. A really good one for Darius Garland. In fact, while we're here, we said PRA, we might as well talk about it. They're giving up about 24 points per game, 7.3 rebounds, and 13 assists per game in the last 7 games, gang. You add it all up, that's like 44 plus PRA given up to point guards in the last 7 games. So, yeah, I think Darius Garland's probably in play for PRA as well. But let's go pull a projection up for his rebounds while we're talking about him. I got him projected for 3.3 boards, but at 3.5 rebounds on 3 different books, 3 different sites. All the public is taking the over. Minus 135, minus 145, and minus 125 respectively. So Darius Garland in a very good spot today from the looks of things against this Atlanta Hawks backcourt, Trae Young and company. So we talked some Mason Plumlee rebounds, who's not on the board but has hit in 80% of his games. Al Horford rebounds, 80% hit rate for him. Darius Garland at 70% hit rate. Let's talk about one more who's hitting at a very high clip, and we're talking Terry Rozier at 4.5 boards, a 70% hit rate. I don't know what's gotten into this guy over the last 2 games, y'all. But if you look at it, 10 boards against Detroit, 10 big boards against the Memphis Grizzlies. So back-to-back games posting double-digit rebounds. Over the last 10, like I said, 7 for 10. Over the last 5, 4 for 5 at exceeding 4.5 rebounds. He's averaging 7 boards in the last 5 games. So let's go look at this matchup. Rozier slotting in at the shooting guard position. We've already talked about the sky-high totals on this game. 245 implied points between these 2 teams. Let's go see what the Minnesota Timberwolves are allowing in terms of rebounds to the shooting guard spot. They're giving up nearly 7 boards per game, 6.6 to be exact, which puts them right around the top 10 most giving over the last 7 games. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Exactly the 10th most rebounds allowed to shooting guards. in the last 7 games. So Rozier definitely in a good game script, definitely in a good matchup, and definitely has the hit rates to sort of back up the idea that maybe he can get it done tonight, going over 4.5 rebounds. So let's pull a projection up for Terry Rozier. Got him projected for exactly 5 boards, which is exactly what he needs tonight. He needs at least 5 boards or more to get the job done. Now, 4.5 rebounds on 3 different books, 3 different sites. Betting public eating this one up as well. You're seeing overs -130, -125, respectively. So Terry Rozier should definitely be on your radar for his rebound props. Other guys who are hitting at about a 60% hit rate, I'll just throw a few names out there. We won't get into it, but Marcus Smart, 60%, Evan Mobley, 60%, Trae Young, 60%, and another guy, Jaylen Brown. Keep your eye out on him. He's also at a 60% hit rate. So we've talked some points, some rebounds. Now we're going to look at some assists. And while I take a little water break, you guys assist me if you could. Drop a like on today's live stream if you're liking any of the picks, any of the value that I'm offering you here from today's show. I appreciate all your support. We're trying to grow the channel. We're trying to help as many people as we can who play player props, who play on PrizePicks. We want to help them all. So by liking this, it helps us get the word out, get the message out to as many folks as we can. All right, so we're looking at the top dime droppers. Who stands out? Well, Jason Tatum's not up on the board, but Jason Tatum at 3.5 assists and 80% hit rate for him. So if you can get Jason Tatum at 3.5 assists anywhere, I would definitely say dig into that one a little bit further. Jason Tatum's assist definitely in play. Mason Plumlee, another guy who's at 3.5 assists. He's not up on the PrizePicks board, but has been covering in a 70% hit rate. Marcus Smart, another Boston Celtic who is not up on the board, but at 4.5 dimes, 70% hit rate for him. So they're kind of playing keep away with a lot of these top hit rate assist guys. One guy that we can talk about though, one guy that they did give us is Trae Young at 8.5 dimes. At 8.5 assists, last 10 games, a 7 for 10, 70% hit rate. We look at the last 5 and all you see is green. All you see is green. 5 straight games at going over 8.5 assists. He's gone for 13, 11, 11, 11, and 10 in his last 5 games, averaging 11.2 dimes in that 5-game span. So Trae Young definitely going to be on a lot of people's playlist, we'll say. Looking at the matchup against Cleveland, the Cavaliers, somewhat stingy though. They're not giving up a ton of dimes to opposing point guards. So I wouldn't say that this is the best or most friendly matchup for Trae Young. They're giving up just 6.7 assists in their last 7 games to point guards, which is the 4th fewest. The 4th fewest. You see where they rank all the way down at the bottom here, gang. Very tough matchup for point guards and for assists especially. So now that we know that, let's go ahead and take a look at a projection for Trae Young. I got him projected for 9.7 dimes according to the Action Projection Tools. Again, cross-reference this. There's a number of free sites out there, NumberFire, RotoWire, Betting Pros. You can check player prop projections on all 3 of those sites for free if you want. But we're looking at the premium tools here provided by Fantasy Labs and Action Labs, and they got him for 9.7 assists. Now at 8.5 assists is where he's at on 2 different sports books. We're seeing some action under, some action over. So it seems like the betting public is torn, is split on Trae Young. And I think I'm going to probably avoid this one just because the matchup does not look very good for Trae Young. But I don't want to take it under either. So for me, it's a-okay to just go ahead and fade. High hit rates, difficult matchup. Don't know that I want to go there. Things just aren't adding up for me on Trae Young. One last guy to talk about who's covering his assist prop at a 70% clip, Tyrese Maxey. At 4.5 assists, he's covered this prop in 7 out of 10, a 70% hit rate. 4 assists, though, is his number here on PrizePicks, so we're getting a little bit of value here. Instead of 4.5, we're getting him at 4, which means now we have the opportunity to push. Instead of losing a bet outright, losing an entry or a pick outright, now we have the opportunity to push. being that he's down at 4 assists. He's coming off of 2 games where he's went under 4 assists. So it seems like eventually he's going to have to pop back up, right? In the last 5 games, he's gone for 4 or more in 60% of his games. He's averaging exactly 4 assists. He's going up against the Boston Celtics tonight. So let's go take a look at the matchup for Maxey. We'll look at both the point and shooting guard spots and see how many assists they've been giving up to both guard positions. Boston giving up about 7.6 dimes to opposing point guards. You can see where that kind of places them down toward the bottom. When you're down toward the bottom, that means you are a difficult matchup. So Boston, kind of somewhat of a difficult matchup for point guards and assists. But being that they're giving up nearly 8 per game, I think there's definitely some upside here for Maxey. If we look at the shooting guard position, go all the way down to the bottom, they're giving up just 2.7. So right around 2 to 3 assists per game to opposing shooting guards, which is the first fewest. So the most difficult matchup for Tyrese Maxey, if you consider him to be the shooting guard at Boston, just limiting the amount of assists they give up to opposing 2 guards in the last 7 games. So let's go ahead and pull up a projection here for Maxey. I do have him projected for more than 4 assists, 4.7. At 4.5 on 3 different books, the public is definitely smashing the under here. Minus 140, minus 145, and minus 125. So they are not in love with Tyrese Maxey going for 5 or more dimes against Boston tonight. John Collins is definitely out. John Collins is out. So yeah, maybe you lean toward the over on Tyrese Maxey, being that he's at 4 assists instead of 4.5, and you end up in a push situation. Like I said, has been getting the job done at 70% in the last 10 games. Other guys who are sitting at around 60% in the last 10 games, you got Ant Edwards, 60%, Karl Anthony Towns, 60%, Pat Beverly, 60%. They all happen to be Minnesota Timberwolves too, by the way. So those are some other options for you. So we've talked points, we've talked rebounds, we've talked assists. Now let's throw them all together, points plus rebounds plus assists, and talk some PRA and see who's been getting the job done in the PRA department here over the last 10. Now this first guy on the board, no surprise, right? We've already talked about what a great matchup it was for him today against Atlanta. His points are looking good. His rebounds are looking good. And we know the Atlanta Hawks are giving up a boatload of assists to point guards over the last 10 games as well. Or over the last 7 games, I should say. Over the last 10 games, Darius Garland at 33.5 PRA. Not 32.5, but 33.5 PRA. 7 for 10. We look at his last 5 games, a little bit uglier here. Just 2 out of 5, 40% hit rate. Fell just short against Philadelphia with 32 PRA, but tonight's matchup against Atlanta, a lot better for Darius Garland, a lot more friendly. So let's go take a look at a projection for Mr. Garland. We've already talked about how great of a situation he's in, great spot that he's in against Atlanta. Don't need to rehash that. But I got Garland projected for 32. We'll round it up, call it 32 PRA, which is, just short. He needs 33 tonight if you're looking to take the over here. And then the public, minus 120 under 32.5, minus 115 under 32.5. What do you think, gang? Darius Garland over 32.5. Leave a thumbs up in the chat. Or Darius Garland under 32.5. Or maybe you're just going to fade. Leave a thumbs down in the chat. Thumbs up for Garland if you're going to take the over. Thumbs down for Garland if you're going to take the under, or just fade it. Again, against point guards, man. Hawks, 24 points, 7.3 rebounds, and 13 assists in the last 7 games. So that's like 44, 45 PRA allowed. And just to put that in terms of fantasy points, they're giving up the 3rd most fantasy points in the last 7 games to point guards. So, this spot is about as good as you can ask for Darius Garland. So, some thumbs down. P-Man, 42.84. Not liking the over on Darius Garland. Mitchell Delp leaving the thumbs down, not liking the over on Darius Garland. Bankroll Ree with the thumbs up. I'm seeing some fades, Whew. Okay. Not a lot of love for Darius G. Interesting. All right. Well, the matchup looks really good, gang. Anyways, we talked some Darius Garland. Who else has been getting it done in terms of PRA? We talked a little bit about Tobias Harris earlier for his points. His PRA at 28.5, 70% hit rate over the last 10. So he's gone 7 out of 10 at covering 28.5. We look at the last 5 games here, 3 for 5. So a 60% hit rate, averaging 29 PRA. Now he's coming off just 17 points, rebounds, and assists against Cleveland. Really bad game for Tobias Harris in his last one. So some of you probably not loving the Tobias Harris points a whole lot, but maybe you go PRA instead. Maybe that's the better look for you. Let's go take a look at Boston here against power forwards. They're giving up, as we talked about before, just 17.5 points to power forwards, but 9 rebounds. So we're at like 26.5 PRA. Sprinkle in about 3 assists, 29.5 PRA. Looks like a tough matchup for me for Tobias Harris against the Boston Celtics. Let's get you a projection. I got Tobias Harris going for about 31 PRA projected by Action Labs. He's at 28.5 on every sports book, but the public is betting the under on Tobias Harris. They are taking the under. So I don't know that I'm loving Tobias Harris in this spot. Some other guys that I'll just quickly mention, we won't get too far into it. PRA, 60% hit rate. Jared Allen is up on the board. We talked about Jared Allen earlier in terms of points. Mason Plumlee, 60% hit rate. Marcus Smart, 60%. Tyrese Maxey, 60%. And Jaylen Brown, 60%. Everybody else that's currently up on the board, about a 50% hit rate. So not seeing a lot of guys here on today's slate who are covering their PRA at a very high rate. So let's go ahead and move on to 3-point makes, and then we'll take some of your questions, get into some of the picks and plays that you guys are liking. Let's see what they've given us today on the 3-point prop board. Trae Young, always in contention, always up for consideration. His last 10 games, he's covered 2.5 3-point makes in 6 out of 10. So a 60% hit rate for Mr. Trae Young. You can see in the last 5, though, 40%. Had 6 against Indiana, just 2 against San Antonio, and then 4 against Boston. We go back to Toronto and Dallas. Couple of donuts, couple of bagels up on the board. 0 against Toronto, 0 against Dallas. Overall, last 5 games, averaging 2.4 3-point makes in that span. So let's go look at the matchup here. Are the Cleveland Cavaliers giving up a bunch of threes to point guards or nah? It looks like or nah for the most part. 2.7 threes allowed, which, not a terrible matchup, but you can kind of see where they rank down toward the bottom of the list here. So let's pull up a projection here for Trae Young in his 3-point makes. I got Trae projected for 2.9 threes, so nearly 3 3-point makes. And then at 2.5, the public taking the over on your favorite sportsbook, minus 135 to go over 2.5. So he's one of the highest hitting 3-point makers here on today's slate. There's not a lot of them that look really good. Isaac Okoro at 0.5 3-point makes, 60% hit rate for him. Matisse Thybulle at 0.5 3-point makes, 60% hit rate for him. Patrick Beverley, 1.5 3-point makes, a 60% hit rate for him. Everybody else on the board is like 50% over the last 10. So it's kind of ugly. So unless there's any specific 3-point props that you guys like, I think I'm going to wrap this up and start taking some of your questions. Hit me with them, gang. Hit me with them. What props are you guys liking? Jeremy's mentioning Darius Garland's points. Yeah, we like Darius Garland for points. That stud Killer Cam is asking about some Jay Crowder rebounds or some Jay Crowder PRA. Let's take a look at it. Jay Crowder is at 5 boards. He's covered in 5 straight games. Dang. Okay. Wow. Did not expect to see this. What a pleasant surprise, though. 7 boards against Washington, 10 against Chicago, 14 against Philly, 8 against Milwaukee, 7 against Orlando. So he's not only covering his rebound props, he is smashing by 2, 3, 5, and 9 rebounds in some cases. Holy smokes. Jay Crowder, shout out to you, man. Getting the job done on the glass. Let's take a look at the matchup real quick against the Clips. The Clippers on a back-to-back. They played last night against the Golden State Warriors. Ended up beating Golden State pretty well. Kind of surprised by that. But anyway, Clippers in terms of rebounds allowed to the power forward position, they're giving up about 10.1 boards, which kind of puts them like smack dab right in the middle of the league. Middle of the pack. So not going over by a whole lot. The matchup not overly difficult, not too easy either. So just kind of an average matchup against the Clippers. So I'm not scared off of it by any means. I'm not fading due to a what looks like a difficult matchup. The matchup looks pretty friendly. Looking at Crowder here, got him projected for like 5.8 boards. So he's closer to 6 rebounds than he is 5. So there's that. And then at 5.5 rebounds out on 2 different books, the public is taking the under at 5. So for me, with his high hit rates, with the ability to rebound the basketball like he has been over the last 5 games, I'd probably lean toward the over on Crowder and hope that worst case we end up in a tie or a push situation. But yeah, I mean, hard not to like what you're seeing here with the 7, the 10, the 14, the 8, the 7 in the last 5 games. So it's kind of interesting that the public is taking the under. But again, he is projected to go for about 6 tonight. So take that for what it's worth. Good shout out, though, Mr. Killicam, bringing that Jay Crowder rebound prop to our attention. Had no idea that he was rebounding like that recently. Mac B, shout out to you, member of our Patreon and Discord community. He's mentioning some Tyrese Halliburton first half fantasy points. Only looking at it as a first half play. So let's go see what he's talking about. Let's see what he sees real quick. Where you at, Tyrese Halliburton? They need to put my man in an Indiana jersey. I'm just saying. Him and Buddy need to be in some bright yellow. I wonder if the PrizePicks team can get on that. Anyway, Tyrese Halliburton, 17 first half fantasy points. You can kind of see what he's been doing over the last 5 games. He's covered this in 4 out of 5, and he's averaging 23.6 fantasy points in that span. Now, since joining the Indiana Pacers, my man has been motivated. I think he feels a little slighted by the Sacramento Kings. I think he felt like he was going to be a part of sort of the future for Sacramento, helping in turning around the team. They had other plans. They said, we're riding with De'Aaron Fox, and we're going to ship you out for Domantas Sabonis and some other pieces. But anyway, yeah, Tyrese Halliburton's been getting the job done, man. So let's take a look at his full game projection. We can kind of match up his full game fantasy points versus where he's at on Fantasy Labs. So they got him at 34 full game fantasy points. I got Halliburton projected for 39.7 full game fantasy points. So that's 5.7 fantasy points more than where he's at today. So I would say just kind of based on that alone, the fact that Fantasy Labs likes him so much more than where he's at on PrizePicks right now, that you should probably take a good look at his first half fantasy points as a play. And he's facing off against who? Milwaukee. Could be a tough matchup. Let's go to the point guard position real quick and just see how many fantasy points Milwaukee's given up. Actually, they're giving up quite a few. 51 fantasy points over the last 7 games to opposing point guards. So that's like the 9th most. So it's really not a difficult matchup. So yeah, I think I'm in. I'm in with Mac B on the over for Tyrese Halliburton. Almost called him Mac Halliburton. Tyrese Halliburton over first half fantasy points looks like a solid move. Jojo Rabbit, LaMelo Ball's 3-point makes. All right, let's take a look at it. We got LaMelo against Minnesota. Obviously, we know this game's going to be very high scoring, 240 plus points between these two teams. Going to be one of those run and gun type of games that I think fits right in LaMelo Ball's wheelhouse. Guys like Terry Rozier probably going to be popular. I'm imagining D'Angelo Russell, Anthony Edwards probably going to be popular. Very guard heavy, wing heavy type of game. That's how I see this one playing out. Anyway, LaMelo Ball, 3 straight games now, 5, 7, and 5 3-point makes respectively. Fell short against Toronto back on February 7th with just 1. Miami, he had just 2, but got a nice little streak going here. 3 in a row with going for 3 or more triples. So quickly looking at this matchup against Minnesota, T-Wolves giving up the 3rd most 3-point makes to opposing point guards at 3.9 allowed. Matchup looks great. The matchup looks great. Looks like a good spot for him to keep it going. High total game, friendly matchup against the T-Wolves. Let's go get a projection for you on some LaMelo Ball. 2.9 projected 3-point makes, and he is a minus 140 betting favorite to go over at 2.5. So the public really, really liking LaMelo Ball in this spot, and I think I agree with them. Not a bad way to go. Mitchell's mentioning Karl Anthony Towns for PRA. Karl Anthony Towns going up against Mason Plumlee. Probably will see a little bit of what's his name? Montrezl Harrell. There you go. Montrezl Harrell and Mason Plumlee will probably be switching off on Karl Anthony Towns tonight, but he's at 41.5 PRA. I mean, I can get on board kind of with what you're thinking here. Like I said, high game totals, probably going to be an up-tempo type of game. But when you open up his game logs and you look at him, he's gone just 1 out of 5, just a 20% hit rate at 41.5 PRA. Not the best hit rates in the world, right? So let's go to the center position. We'll go to the Charlotte Hornets and look at how many points, rebounds, and assists they've been giving up to opposing centers here recently. About 25 points, over 18 rebounds, gang. We're already sitting at 43-44 PRA, and then 5 assists allowed. So let's call it about 50 PRA over their last 7 games. So yeah, I would definitely say Karl Anthony Towns should be considered, should be on your radar. Let's get you a projection here for Mr. Towns. Got him at 39 PRA, so they got him going under. They're projecting him to go under. And then this is another one of those props where the betting public on 2 different books just can't agree. They don't seem to agree. One site, we're seeing action over, minus 125. One site, we're seeing action under, minus 120. What to do? The betting public just can't seem to agree on Karl Anthony Towns at 41.5 PRA. I mean, I like the matchup. I think it looks pretty good here against Mason Plumlee, against Montrezl Harrell. I'm not really scared by either one of those guys slowing Cat down. So, I mean, I could see a pretty good game for Karl Anthony Towns. You could also probably consider him as a fantasy points play. Reason I say that, Charlotte giving up over 63 fantasy points per game in the last 7 games to centers, the second most. And we know Karl Anthony Towns is pretty good for some blocks, some steals here and there. So if you don't want to take his PRA, you could probably look at him as a fantasy point option as well. Let's just take a look at his number today and see what that's sitting at. They got Towns at 46 fantasy points. Just for reference here, I got him projected for 46.2. So PrizePicks does have a pretty sharp number up for Karl Anthony Towns at 46 fantasy points. Not seeing much of an edge or value for us on that one. Anyway, hopefully that answers your question. Both Mitchell and I saw King United mention that one as well. We got our first super chat of the live stream. Mr. David Winker, always coming through with some solid picks. He's liking LaMelo Ball over 21.5 points. He's 5 for 5 in his last 5 without Gordon Hayward. He's 7 for 10 this season. And in those 10 games, he's averaged 23% of the team's points. Which, if we look at that in terms of the implied point total for Charlotte tonight, he should have roughly about 27.4 points. So that's an interesting way to kind of dissect things. So we need him to stay right around about 23% of the team's implied point total. So Charlotte's implied point total, which is 119. If he stays right around 23%, he should have roughly about 27 points. So thanks for dropping that. We could take a look at that a little bit closer. Always appreciate the super chats. If you ever want your question, like a guarantee that your question will get seen, will get looked at, then super chat is definitely the way to go. And it helps support me as a content creator. Never expect you guys to do that. But like I said, if you have one of those hard pressing questions that you just have to get an answer to and you want to make sure that it gets answered and gets seen, super chat. Super chat's the way to do it. Anyway, Chicago Bulls, he had 33. He had 31 against Detroit and 25 against Memphis. So he's covered this in 3 out of his last 5 games, including 3 straight. Over that 5-game span, averaging over 23 points per game. So let's pull up what David was talking about here. We can go LaMelo Ball points without Gordon Hayward logs. And just as my man mentioned, 5 straight games without Gordon Hayward this season, 25, 31, 33, 38, and 23. So 5 straight without Gordon Hayward this season. And then you back things up a little bit further here. The next 5 games, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's gone for 22 or more in 2 out of 5. So overall, a 70% hit rate, like David mentioned, 7 out of 10. So not terrible. I mean, I will take a 70% hit rate, and a guy who's riding a 5-game streak of covering at 21.5 points when Gordon Hayward is out, especially in this matchup against Minnesota. So we look at the Minnesota Timberwolves here. In terms of points allowed to opposing point guards, they're giving up 24, nearly 25 points per game in the last 7 games. So that is the 9th most. So a very friendly matchup for LaMelo Ball. And to put a bow on top of this for you, got him projected for 20.7 points. We're seeing him at 21.5 on at least 3 different books, but we are seeing him as high as 22.5 on one other site. So the fact that at least one site and their lines makers feel that 22.5 is an appropriate line for LaMelo Ball leads me to believe that 21.5 is a soft number, potentially soft number. We're getting a little bit of value when you compare him to a site like PointsBet, for example. So thank you, David, again for the super chat. I think you've put us on a very worthwhile option. Solid pick with LaMelo Ball at 21.5 points. Let's go through some other of your questions and stuff, see what you're talking about here in the chat. We have talked LaMelo Ball's threes. We've talked Karl Anthony Towns' PRA. We've talked about Crowder's rebounds. We've talked about Trae Young's assists. 3B, though, is mentioning some Terry Rozier at his 3-point prop. So we talked LaMelo Ball's 3-point prop, but he's talking about some Terry Rozier 3-point makes. So he's at 3.5, which is 1 3-pointer higher than LaMelo Ball. Of course, we like LaMelo Ball. The matchup looks good. We like the game script. The totals are very high. The game looks like it's going to stay close and competitive. Terry Rozier at 3.5 3-point makes has covered this in 2 out of 5. 2 out of 5, and he's averaging 3.6 triples per game in the last 5. So let's look at this matchup against Minnesota here real quick. T-Wolves versus shooting guards in the 3-point department, giving up about 2.6. So that is the 6th fewest. So 6th most difficult matchup for Terry Rozier when you look at the DVP chart here on Fantasy Pros. So I'd have to say that I like the matchup and the prop line for LaMelo Ball a little bit better. I mean, again, he is at 2.5. Rozier is at 3.5. Melo Ball's got the easier matchup. Terry Rozier's got the more difficult matchup. So, more difficult matchup, higher prop line for Terry Rozier. Easier matchup, lower prop line for LaMelo Ball. Now, there could be a situation where both of them end up going over. In a game with this many implied points, it's not impossible, right? I just wanted to highlight the differences between the two. Projection for Rozier, 3.3 3-point makes. He is a betting favorite to go under 3.5 on at least one site. So, yeah, I mean, gun to head, you're forcing me to pick between the two Charlotte Hornets guards. I'd probably have to go LaMelo Ball, especially because my man David's liking the over on his points at 21.5. I think that gives me even more confidence, right? Let's see what other picks you guys are talking about here. We talked about Horford's rebounds at 5.5. Doesn't look like an overly difficult matchup or anything for Horford. He's been getting the job done here recently. Dang, you guys are just dropping bombs up in here. Ariel, DeAndre Ayton's rebounds. That is one that we have not looked at yet. But he's going up against the Clippers, and the Clippers against opposing bigs, not very good. We saw Kevon Looney last night have himself a pretty good first half. He ended up going over his first half fantasy points. So if Kevon Looney can have success against the Clippers, don't we think DeAndre Ayton can have some success here? I mean, I do. I'm not really afraid of Ivica Zubac all that much. But DeAndre Ayton at 8.5 boards, last 5 games, you can see he's gone over in 3 out of 5. So 60% hit rate, not the worst hit rate in the world. Not terrible. Matchup wise, let's go take a look at that real quick. Clippers are giving up about 15.6 rebounds per game to opposing centers in the last 7 games, which really puts them, I mean, pretty much smack dab right in the middle of the league. So rebounds could definitely be in play for Ayton. Another way to play DeAndre Ayton would be his fantasy points. Like I said, Clippers giving up a lot of fantasy points to opposing centers. They're also giving up a lot of actual points. 29, the 4th most points to centers. So you could look at DeAndre Ayton a number of different ways. I think his points would probably be in play based on DVP. Rebounds could be in play and the fantasy points. Probably just a first half only, though, on the fantasy points. That's why I'm a little bit hesitant on this prop because of the potential blowout risk. So if you want to play like a first half only on Ayton, maybe you take the first half only on points or first half only on his fantasy points. But I digress. Let's pull up a projection here for DeAndre Ayton. Got him going for 10.6 boards. He is at 8.5. Minus 140 to go over. He's also at 9.5, but he's a minus 130 to go under at 9.5. So we are getting a little bit of value here when you compare to some of these other sports books out there. So again, don't hate DeAndre Ayton in points. I don't hate him in rebounds, and I definitely don't hate him in fantasy points. I just worry a little bit about blowout, of course. Sean Bars is asking, what do we think about Joel Embiid's points, rebounds, and assists? Well, that's a good question. He's going up against Boston. Sometimes, at least in the past, sometimes he actually does well against Boston. Sometimes he struggles a little bit. But at 48.5 PRA here, covered this in 60% of his last 5 games, 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5 for Joel Embiid. I think this game was expected to be pretty low scoring, if I remember correctly. 210. Not the greatest total in the world. 210. So going to be kind of low scoring, which is a little bit, little off-putting. Boston giving up just 13.5 points over the last 7 to centers. That's a pretty low number. I have a feeling Embiid will score a little bit more than 13.5 points tonight, but he has struggled against Boston in the past. They're also giving up 19 rebounds and 4 assists. So we put all that together, you're looking at about, 46 PRA? Somewhere around there. Could be bad math. 23, 30, About 36 PRA. My bad. That is bad math. I knew it didn't sound right. So about 36 PRA. So it looks like a tough matchup for Joel Embiid on paper. Like, of course, he's above average, right? He's an above average center. So we expect more than what they're allowing in terms of PRA. I just don't know if he's going to have enough oomph to get over 48.5. The public, at least one site, they're taking the under. He is projected for 45.3 PRA. So we can look at this one a little bit closer on StatMuse. We can go Joel Embiid points plus rebounds plus assists versus Celtics logs. And you can kind of get an idea here. PRA, been hit or miss. Hit or miss. He's faced Boston 3 times this season. He's covered his PRA of 48.5 in just one game. Had 56 PRA on December 20th. Had 44 and 37 in 2 other matchups. So just 1 for 3, 33% hit rate this season. And you go back to previous seasons, fell short here with 42, covers with 52, covers with 54. So, last 6 games, he's gone over 48.5 PRA in 3 out of 6. It's a 50% hit rate. For me, it's just not high enough for me to feel comfortable taking the over. So I'm not going to go there. Chill Will, you want to know what site is that I'm using? Well, this is StatMuse. Probably seen StatMuse around before. This is Fantasy Pros. This is the FanDuel NBA defense versus position chart that they offer for free. Just Google Fantasy Pros, FanDuel NBA DVP. This is Fantasy Labs, which is powered by Action Labs, their player prop projection tools. And then this is their Fantasy Labs fantasy models. So Fantasy Labs with Action Labs, both premium sites. But there is some sites out there for free if you don't want to pay for anything. A site like NumberFire, for example, they do offer some free projections. So those are the sites that we use and that we reference. So yeah, I'm not, for the record, not on Joel Embiid tonight for his PRA. Just my choice. Probably look for a different play, Sean. Travis, you're asking about some Jared Vanderbilt rebounds. Let's go take a look at his number today. He's at 8.5 going up against Charlotte. It's been a little bit ugly here for Vanderbilt, but we do like the game total. Should be up tempo. Should be one of those games where Mr. Vanderbilt will have opportunities to grab some boards. Last 5 games, he's covered in 2 out of 5. Just a 40% hit rate. Not the best in the world. Go to the power forward position. You go to the rebound category. You find the Charlotte Hornets, and you see that they're giving up about 10.3 boards per game to opposing power forward. So there is some upside here. When you look at the average of 10.3 versus his line of 8.5, a little bit of wiggle room, a little bit of upside for Mr. Vandy. Mr. Vandy. Let's pull a projection up for Vanderbilt. Got him going for 8.6 projected rebounds. He is a projected favorite. He is a betting favorite. Betting favorite to go over on 2 out of 3 books, minus 120 odds. What else we got, gang? Keep it moving here. Try to get through as many of these as possible. Drew Brees is asking about some Luka Doncic points. How could we not talk about Luka Doncic? He's going up against Miami tonight. Waiting to see what's happening with Jimmy Butler. Do you think Jimmy Butler would draw the Luka Doncic defensive assignment? Would they put Butler on Doncic if he does end up playing? I don't know. For me, maybe we wait and see if Jimmy Buckets is in or out. But Luka at 29.5 points has been on a tear lately, especially in his last 3 games. 33, 51, 45. He just absolutely lit the Los Angeles Clippers on fire the last 2 games. Killed them. Straight up killed them. Body bag, everything. Like, haul him off to the morgue type of stuff. 51 and 45 against the Clippers in back-to-back games for Luka. Anyway, don't want to hype him up too much because he is facing off against Miami, so we got to go look at the matchup. Point guards, Miami Heat. How many points are they allowing? About 24 points per game in the last 7. You can see where they rank toward the top. When you're toward the top, that means soft matchup. So definitely not a matchup that I'm afraid of. Miami doing the Lord's work in terms of allowing points to opposing point guards. So I'm not afraid of this matchup at all. Not one that I'm fading due to a matchup situation. Let's just get you a projection for Luka. They got him projected for 29.7 points. I've only got one book to reference, and on that book, we are not seeing any action on the over or under on Luka Doncic. He is even money right now. No juice either which way. Let's go through a couple more of these. P-Man 4284 is liking some Clint Capella rebounds. We have not talked about Clint, the big fella Capella. Maybe Clint Capella's finally coming around, or maybe he just had himself a good game against Boston. But it's been a bit of a struggle to trust Clint Capella here recently. I mean, since coming back from that little bit of a layoff, he's only covered this rebound prop of 12.5 in 1 out of his last 5 games. And now he goes against Jarrett Allen, Evan Mobley, Kevin Love. He'll see a lot of those 3. So let's go look at the matchup real quick. Center position, rebounds for Clint Capella. Cleveland Cavaliers, they're giving up about 16.2 boards. Again, you can kind of see where they rank. Top of the middle of the pack, we'll say. So not an overly difficult matchup, not one that we're looking to avoid by any means. Let's pull a projection up for Clint Capella. He's at 12.5. We need him to be at 13 or more, and he's not. He's projected for 12. But the betting public is taking the over on Capella, minus 120, minus 130 betting favorite. So don't know that I want to go there. I just haven't trusted Clint Capella recently. Just haven't trusted him. Just hasn't quite looked the same since coming back. Trevor's mentioning some Ant Edwards over assists. Anthony Edwards over assists. I think of Ant Edwards, I think of points, but you're wanting to go with the assists. He's covered in 3 out of 5. Gets a fantastic game script tonight against the Charlotte Hornets. We'll call Ant the small forward. If Beverly, Russell are starting at the guard spots, then Ant Edwards probably like your 3-man. I think that's fair to say. Going up against Charlotte, Charlotte's given up 6.1 dimes to small forwards. First most. So they are giving up a ton of assists to the small forward position. Let's just look at the shooting guard spot as well. Giving up 5.4 there, a top 10 easiest matchup for Mr. Anthony Edwards. So whether you call him shooting guard, small forward, matchup looks good for Ant. Got Edwards projected for 4.1 assists, and the public loving the over here as well. Minus 140, minus 145 betting favorite on 3 different books. So yeah, hard to hate any unders. Hard to take any unders from this game with the total being so high. Guys like Anthony Edwards, LaMelo Ball, Cat. I mean, I could see why you guys are mentioning a lot of these players from this game. It's going to be a crazy game. Crazy game. Yeah, Kels, we've talked some Horford rebounds, 10K Zay, Luka. We just talked about Luka's points, so I think if Luka's going to hit his PRA, he's definitely going to have to hit his points prop as well. So yeah, Luka's PRA probably going to be in play. I'll just pull up a projection for you. About 49 PRA for Luka. He's at 47.5 today. But he's at 46.5 out on at least one sports book. So PrizePicks is coming in hot here with this 47.5, a bit of a higher number, but he is projected to go over. Aaron Rodgers saying yuck on Jay Crowder. Yeah, we talked about Jay Crowder's rebounds. Very high hit rates for him, but I can see why you're saying yuck. I don't turn to Jay Crowder a lot. But Trevor does, and he's saying Crowder has been solid. Yeah, Kels, we talked Horford's rebounds at 5.5. I already talked about that one. Bankroll Reese saying Crowder's assist 2. So that's another way that you could play Crowder. Mario Escobar is saying that Jason Tatum first half under is 0 for 5. So you're wanting to take the first half under on Jason Tatum in what category? Points or fantasy points? But that is a good point. If he is really 0 for 5 going under, or I'm sorry, if he's 0 for 5 in points or fantasy points and he's been going under in 5 straight, then maybe you continue to ride that out. Oh, for points. Gotcha. Ja Toa is saying that Anthony Edwards over 23.5 points, and I'm guessing that's Miles Bridges at 20.5 points. He's liking the over on both. My man even went so far to put the padlock next to it. He put the lock next to it, gang. So it's a guaranteed hit. And if it doesn't hit, we're not friends with you anymore, Ja Toa. Because when you put the padlock next to something, that means there's a 0% chance that it will fail. And you've done that. So we must believe in both Ant Edwards and Miles Bridges tonight. You put the padlock out there. When you put the padlock out there, that means I'm going to risk a mortgage payment on these picks. I've got him projected for 24.9 points. So if he's at 23.5, they are liking the over. And you're saying Bridges. Bridges is at 20.8 projected points. So that's just a point of reference for you guys. A couple of projections. A lot of Luka PRA talk here. Refried Beans is liking some Luka PRA. Jeremy's liking Clint Capella rebounds. A couple of folks are liking some Capella rebounds. P-Man. There's Cat PRA again. We talked about him already. Here's one we have not talked about. Fernando is mentioning CJ McCollum's PRA. And as a fellow CJ, I mean, yeah, we got to talk about some CJ McCollum PRA. He covered his fantasy points the other night at 33. That was last night, matter of fact. And he also covered his PRA. Now, this guy is very scoring dependent. If he's getting buckets and making shots, then his PRA, his fantasy points, should follow suit. So as long as he's hitting his points, he should be able to hit his PRA and fantasy points as well. Very scoring dependent, though. Looking at the last couple of games here, 52 against the Spurs for points, rebounds, and assists, 32 against Toronto, which I said was last night. So let's pull up a projection for McCollum. Got him going for about 30.3 PRA. He is a betting favorite, though, minus 130 to go under. The public not believing in McCollum tonight against Memphis. For me, kind of want to wait and see on the Ja Morant news if he's in or out. I don't know that Ja Morant is going to be locked up on CJ McCollum, but maybe it becomes a little bit more of a difficult matchup for McCollum if Ja is in and if Ja is guarding McCollum tonight. Landon confirming he did take McCollum over. Man, there is a lot of love for Capella's rebounds tonight. You guys are all over Clint Capella's rebounds. A little bit of an echo chamber effect, maybe. Maybe that's, Clint Capella's rebounds has been floating around the Twitter sphere, floating around the Discord and stuff. I challenge you guys to do more research on the Clint Capella rebounds. Don't just fall for the old okie doke because it's being talked about a lot. But it does sound like there's a little bit of echo chamber going on here with Clint Capella's rebounds. The fact that it's been mentioned so much on today's live stream probably means that it's been circulating pretty heavily out on Discord and Twitter and stuff like that. So definitely do your research, though. Don't just follow it blindly because it's come up a lot. All right. King United is saying that he doesn't like Luka's points tonight because Kyle Lowry, the Kyle Lowry effect. I feel you. I feel you on that. Nick Guthrie is saying Isaac Okoro's PRA versus the Hawks. He's got a 75% hit rate. Does he get the minutes to cover? He missed when he played under 30 minutes. Good question. I mean, I can give you a projection for Okoro and his minutes tonight if it helps you out. Let's take a look. I've got Okoro projected for 18.8 fantasy points, just as a reference, and then 29 minutes. So you're saying he has missed when he's played under 30 minutes. So I have him projected for 29 minutes. It's cutting it close. Cutting it close. A lot of Luka points, a lot of Luka PRA love. Again, this feels like we're living in a little bit of an echo chamber here. Like these Clint Capella rebounds. You guys are on these picks. I'm just saying, do your research. Do some heavy digging on both of these. Feels like these are some picks and some plays that are just being repeated or parroted or regurgitated across Twitter or Discord, wherever you get your information from. But do your own homework, come up with your own conclusion. Don't just go along with it because people are talking about it a bunch. Got a super chat here from my man Desmond, who, again, shout out to Desmond. He definitely called his shot on that DeMar DeRozan over 7 free throw makes. So shout out to Desmond for coming through clutch for the Patreon community last night. He's coming through with a super chat this morning. Early lean, CJ McCollum points, 2 of 3 with Memphis, and 7 of last 7 against Memphis historically, and 8 out of 10. Plus, he's got the 7th easiest matchup as a shooting guard versus the Grizzlies. So we talked McCollum for PRA. We talked about how scoring dependent he is. So if he's making points, he'll more than likely make his PRA. He'll more than likely make his fantasy points. So he's covered 20.5 points in 2 games. 36 against San Antonio, 23 against Toronto. And then you were talking about the matchup for McCollum as a shooting guard going up against Memphis. Yeah, they're giving up about 25 points per game. So if Ja is in, I don't know if Ja's going to be on McCollum or if he's going to be on Devontae Graham. Not quite sure who Ja would match up with, or, would Desmond Bane be on CJ McCollum? I don't know. We have to wait and see. But looking at McCollum here at 20.5 points, he's definitely in a plus matchup based on what we're seeing here. Memphis giving up plenty of points to the shooting guard spot. Get you a projection on his points. Got him going for about 21.4 points tonight. He is a betting favorite to go over on 1 out of 3 sites. The other 2 sites, not seeing any juice over or under on this prop. But yeah, going back to this game, let's just look at the totals and spread again. 228.5 points. Love the total. Spread's just 4.5. So yeah, not one that I would say fade by any means. I think if you're feeling good about McCollum, Desmond, roll the dice, roll with it, man. Not anything that I'm too overly concerned or scared about. Yeah, Ethan, we talked about Ball's 3-pointers looking like a good one. We talked about Rozier's rebounds already. Seeing some repeat props coming up. So either we're all going to lose or we're all going to win. a lot of multiple props coming up from across a couple different people here. So, yep, Cat PRA. Yep, talked about that one, Mitchell. David Reeves, Rozier, PRA or fantasy score. We talked Rozier for his rebounds. We have not really looked into Rozier's PRA or fantasy score. His PRA is at 32.5, has covered in 2 straight games. Of course, this game against the Minnesota Timberwolves, we're going to keep talking about it, but the total, super high on this game. So he's 2 for 2 in covering fantasy points, 2 for 2 in covering PRA in his last couple of games. Let me just get you projections on both. We'll try to keep things rolling, get to as many people as we can. 31.8 projected PRA. So that's less than 32.5. And at 32.5, the public is betting the under. For his fantasy points, he's at 36. I got him projected for 38.6. So maybe he makes for a better fantasy play today than a PRA play. Yep, like Aaron's saying, centers versus Charlotte is a thing. Charlotte not very formidable when it comes to slowing down opposing bigs. scrolling through the rest of your chat here. Like I said, seeing a lot of multiple submissions, a lot of Luka points, a lot of Luka PRA, a lot of Cat PRAs coming up, a lot of Clint Capella rebounds. So if that's any indication, either we're all right or we're all wrong. I mean, you guys are talking about a lot of the same props, so I'm guessing a little bit of an echo chamber effect happening. Just scrolling through here, guys, trying to skip ahead here. Skip ahead. There's one that looks a little different. We're starting to get a little bit of different submissions here. You guys are talking about some Celtics props. Robert Williams, T Biggs 92 is asking about Robert, the Time Lord Williams, and his points. So we talked about this game being sort of a low-scoring game. Robert Williams is at 9.5 points. We have not talked about him today. Surprisingly, he has not come up until now, at least not that I've seen, but 9.5 points. He's covered this in 5 straight games. 100% hit rate. He's going up against, obviously, Joel Embiid. Are you worried about Robert Williams getting into foul trouble against Embiid? We know Embiid's very good at getting to the free throw line. We know that Robert Williams more than likely will probably draw the assignment on Embiid. More than likely. Maybe him and Horford switch off at times, but maybe there's some foul trouble risk here with Robert Williams. Anyway, looking at the matchup here, Philadelphia, in terms of points allowed to the center position, Sixers aren't giving up a ton. I mean, they're in terms of ranking, they're one of the most difficult, stingy teams. They are giving up about 21 points per game over the last 7 games. Williams, again, just needs 10 points. So I'll just quickly get you a projection here. And like I said, this is not meant to be the end-all, be-all of your research. Just an overview, a first look, so to speak. So definitely dig further on your own on some of these props. But I've got Robert Williams at 11.8 projected points at 9.5, 4 different sites, seeing some pretty strong juice. Minus 135, minus 130. The public looking to take the over on Robert Williams today against Joel Embiid. Kings is mentioning Mikal Bridges fantasy play. Let's take a look at that one. Again, guys, sorry if I don't get to everybody's question. I'm trying my bestest. But, one-man band here. Can't get them all. Only have, a limited amount of time. But Mikal Bridges is one that we have not talked about. His fantasy points are at 26. We are a little bit worried about this game because of the huge spread here in favor of Phoenix. So I could see a situation where this one gets out of hand, ends up blowing out. So maybe you take Mikal Bridges in a first half only. Just for a reference point, though, 26 is his full game fantasy point number. I got Bridges projected for 27.6, not Miles Bridges. Mikal Bridges, 27.6. So they do like him to go over for full game fantasy points. Let's take a look at his hit rate for first half only, because for me, that's probably the only way that I'd feel great about taking him, being with the blowout situation and all. But his hit rates are not quite as good for first half as they are full games. So I don't know. If you want to roll the dice and take him in a full game situation, go for it. But when I take guys in a full game spot where it looks like a pretty surefire thing that the game will blow out, I want guys like Book, CP3, or somebody who's at least in a great matchup like DeAndre Ayton. So that's how I would approach it. I don't know that I'm going to go Mikal Bridges tonight. Lots of different ways to go. Don't know that I want to go Mikal Bridges. Aaron Rodgers is saying, I can see it already. Topic tomorrow in the chat will be Capella sold. Could be, man. It just makes you feel a little funny. Feel a little weird when like one or two of these props just keep coming up from multiple people. Multiple people. So you start to think, why are so many people on this? Is it a trap kind of thing? You start to doubt it a little bit when there's so many people on it, that kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, Tyrese Halliburton's been playing fantastic basketball. As Aaron Rodgers is saying, Halliburton's PRA. I've seen somebody else mention Halliburton for assists. Isaac is saying, remember to drop a like for CJ. Nick is saying, don't forget to subscribe, drop a like. 226 is in the room, in the building, but not 200 likes. What's the dealio? What's the deal? Mike 4KT says, check out O'Shea Brissett. That's a good over. Well, Brissett will definitely find himself in a bigger role with Miles Turner out, with Domantas Sabonis no longer on the team. You guys are liking some O'Shea Brissett. Is Giannis in or out tonight? The reason I ask that is I would imagine that he would be matching up with Brissett. So if Giannis is out, then I think I like this a little bit more. I would imagine Portis and Batadze end up getting matched up tonight. So kind of want to wait and see. If we don't have a final word on Giannis and his availability, then might have to wait before I make any decisions on O'Shea Brissett. But you can kind of see what's been going on with him. 15, 18, and 22 over the last 3 games, right? Let's look at this Milwaukee Bucks team. How many points are they giving up to power forwards over the last 7 games? 20.5. So in terms of ranking, they're a difficult matchup. But in terms of points allowed on average, there's definitely some upside here. They are giving up 25 or 20.5. He's at 12.5. So there's a path to victory here for O'Shea Brissett and his over. I do have him projected for 13.5. That's 1 point higher. But what's concerning is that some of these sites have him as low as 11.5. So he's at 11.5, which means 11 to 12 points possibly could be the outcome for Brissett. So yeah, I need to wait and see if Giannis is in or not. He is a game time decision. And again, I would imagine that he would be matching up on Brissett if he's in. They want to know, Nick wants to know, has Capella's prop line moved? I don't know. Let's refresh and go look. Oh, by the way, Lionel Messi taco is up right now. 2.5 shots. It was at 3.5 shots. Has been reduced down to 2.5. He's going up against Real Madrid. 3 p.m. Eastern time is the start of that game. So make sure you get the taco locked in if you're liking it. You got a little over 2 hours and 15 minutes before that one goes away forever. I don't know anything about proper footy. I don't know anything about soccer. So I do not know if that is a good one or not. I'm going to defer to some people inside of our Patreon and Discord channels who know a lot more about the game than I do. That is the power of community. It's not about what you know, it's who you know sometimes, gang. And when you know a bunch of people inside of Patreon and Discord, you're able to lean on them in situations like CSGO or soccer or baseball. Some of the sports that don't get as much love. MMA. But yeah, anyway. Don't know that Clint Capella's line has moved. To get back to your question, I mean, he's still at 12.5 rebounds. He had one good game, man, against Boston. The previous games, just 9, 9, 12, and 11. So either this is a sign of things to come, these 17 rebounds against Boston. Maybe it's the start of a new trend for Clint Capella. Or he just had a really good game and now he's going to come like crashing back down to earth again. But I don't know. A lot of you guys are talking about it, though. I appreciate you, Yanni D. Thank you for dropping the like on there. Really, really helps a lot. I know it seems like such a trivial thing, like a minor thing, like, oh, it doesn't really matter if I hit the like button or not. It matters. Or even if you hit the dislike button for, the couple of haters that I get every single day. Even if you hit the dislike button, all engagement is good. All of it helps. Like, dislike, whatever you decide to do, No, Nick, it doesn't look like Clint Capella's rebounds have moved. So either there's not a lot of action coming in on it, enough for them to bump it up to 13, or, yeah, they know something that we don't. Hoof 15. Shout out to you, Mr. Hoof. I think you jumped on the Discord Discord stages yesterday that we did for just the Patreons. And I think you left a couple of good picks, if I remember correctly. But you're liking some Jared Allen over first half fantasy points. Let's make this one the last one, gang. We are an hour and 44 minutes in. Holy smokes, did not mean for it to go this far, this long. But you guys had a lot of good questions, and I tried to get to as many as I could. So hopefully we did that for you. Yeah, Allen in the last 5 games has gone over 16.5 first half fantasy points in 4 out of 5. Did fall short against Philadelphia and a tough matchup against Joel Embiid, but maybe the matchup against Atlanta tonight's a little bit more friendly. So he's at 16.5 for his first half fantasy score. As a reference piece, I like to look at the full game fantasy points as well and dig into the projections. I've got Jared Allen for 36.3 full game fantasy points, which is 3.3 fantasy points higher. So that could be an indicator that the first half fantasy points could be a good way to go for Jared Allen in this matchup. So anyways, gang, like I said, keep an eye out on the tacos today. Long show today, hour and 45 minutes. I'm going to get up out of here, though. Hopefully for you who got in here late, you're going to go catch the replay, land on some of these picks that were discussed, and lead to a winning night. The goal for today, get into the PrizePicks official Discord. Make sure you're voting on a quality player and a quality prop. If they allow us to vote on today's tacos, you know how we've been able to vote on the 2 NBA tacos that we like the most. Let's make it a good player. Let's make it a good prop, okay? And then let's cash in on these tacos tonight. I will be here back again tomorrow, 11 a.m., same YouTube time, same YouTube channel. So until then, good luck tonight on all your entries. We'll catch you in the next one. All right, guys? Peace.